In this video, I'm going to explain how in Electron you can do to communicate from the main process to the render process and the rendering process to the main process. So the main process is the one that can communicate with the Electron and Node APIs. It's the one that has access to the file system or the internals in the laptop or computer that is the Electron process is running. The renderer is the web interface, and this one is more restricted by design. So if you load external HTML, it's not going to be able to access your file system and your OS internals by default. So how can you make the render process, which is going to be where you will be spending most of your time developing UI features, how can you communicate from this process to the main process to be able to load files and communicate with the shell and so on. So you have three. So you have the main process here. This is the one that creates the windows and so on. You have the renderer process. This one would be the one the JavaScript that runs in your HTML. This is the part of the renderer process as well. And then you have the preload. This one is the one that it's kind of like the glue together, where you can say what APIs are going to be accessible to the renderer process. Now, there is two ways to pass things through from the renderer to the main and main to the renderer. There is kind of like two main methods. I think there is another one, but I will explain this too in this video. There is the send and on. These two work together. And then there is the invoke. So invoke is sort of like calling a function, and you can return things, whatever the... So I'm gonna show an example here, the renderer. So can call the invoke here. And then on the main process, you can do .handle on the same event name. And then whatever you return here, it will be returned on the invoke. It's an async function, so you need to wait for it. And this is kind of like from the renderer calling a main function, and then the main function returns a value, and then you get it back right away. So with this one, the renderer is the one initiating the communication. If you want the main process to initiate the communication, you can do so by running the send operation here, and then on the front end, on the renderer, you have the on. So you can listen to main events that you are sending from the main process. So the way it works, it would be, let's assume that is the renderer that also starts the communication. You can call this content bridge from window Electron API, and then you will be sending this event to the front end, to the main process. The main process listens on this event here using the on instead of using handle. Now we use on. And the way to return things to the renderer is by using an on function, registering an on callback from the renderer process. And then we will be sending whatever we need to that function. So the send and on are more decoupled. The invoke is the renderer always has to start the communication. But it's much simpler. It's like calling a function. Now I try to... This is not advised by the Electron docs. They say to do each of these events as a different function, but this is a way to... they don't... Because they say that if you are loading external HTML and JavaScript, that JavaScript could be invoking these methods and running these methods with whatever arguments they want. So this is something you might want to specify, instead of doing this in this generic way, specify it as different calls. So in this demo, I'm gonna use the invoke. So I want each of these will set the title to whatever I write here. So when I call invoke, this is received through invoke, and if I do something else with the send on, received through send. These two buttons here, one calls the invoke, the other one calls sends the event as a different event. And then as from the main to the renderer, one returns. So the invoke returns, and then we can just right away set the p element in our text. And for the send on variant, we can send, we do it by calling the send function here. So that's pretty much the two methods to communicate from the main to the renderer, from the renderer to the main.